Did you know that you may not need a real estate attorney to close your transaction? If you're moving to Florida from states like New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Georgia, or South Carolina, that part of buying a home may come as a complete surprise. I can't tell you how many relocation buyers ask me, "Who's our closing attorney?" And my answer is usually, "We probably won't need one." That often gets a very puzzled look. So today I'm going to explain why Florida is different, who exactly handles your closing, and whether you should ever hire an attorney anyway. Florida is what's called a title state. That means most residential real estate closings are handled by a title company or a licensed title agent instead of a real estate attorney. This surprises a lot of people because in many states, attorneys prepare documents, hold escrow money, conduct the closing, and oversee the entire legal process. Florida works differently. Instead, licensed title companies handle much of that work. Their job is to make sure ownership of the property can legally transfer from the seller to the buyer. They research the property history, make sure there aren't outstanding ownership claims, coordinate with lenders, prepare many of the closing documents, collect and distribute funds, and record the new deed after closing. It's a very established system that's been used in Florida for many years. If we haven't met, I'm Amanda Bolwell, a realtor here in Jacksonville, Florida. I help people relocate to Northeast Florida every week, and my goal is to make the process as simple and stress-free as possible. If you're considering a move to Jacksonville, be sure to download my free Jacksonville Relocation Guide. I'll leave the link in the description below. It covers neighborhoods, commute times, schools, and much more. Now let's get back to how title agencies close real estate transactions. Another thing people often ask is, what exactly is title insurance? Think of the title as the legal ownership history of a property. Before you buy a home, someone needs to make sure there aren't problems hidden in that history. Maybe years ago, a contractor wasn't paid. Maybe there's an old lien. Maybe paperwork from decades ago wasn't recorded correctly. Or maybe someone else could claim an ownership interest on that property. The title company performs what's called a title search to uncover these issues before closing. Then, title insurance protects against certain covered title defects that weren't discovered before the sale. In Florida, it's common for the seller to pay the owner's title insurance policy in many counties, but customs may vary by county and everything is negotiable during the contract. One reason Florida can operate this way is because our real estate contracts have become highly standardized. Most realtors use contracts approved by organizations like Florida Realtors Association and the Florida Bar. The title companies work with these contracts every single day. They also have licensed professionals who coordinate all the paperwork necessary for a successful closing. That keeps the process efficient while still protecting the buyers and the sellers. Now, that doesn't mean attorneys aren't valuable. There are definitely situations where hiring one makes sense. For example, during probate sales, divorce situations, when closing a commercial property, when there are boundary disputes or easement questions, trusts or complicated estates, title defects, or when there are contract disputes or litigation between buyers and sellers. In these situations, legal advice can be extremely important. Remember, a title company can't give legal advice. Their role is to facilitate the transaction and handle the title work. If legal questions arise, that's when an attorney becomes invaluable. Here's something I do in my own business. When I have a listing, the seller often gets to choose the closing company. If the choice is mine, I frequently recommend using a real estate attorney to handle the closing. And why? Not because Florida requires it, but because it gives many sellers an extra level of confidence and peace of mind. If unexpected legal questions come up during the transaction, an attorney is already involved and can provide legal guidance. For some clients, especially those selling a high-value property or who simply feel more comfortable having an attorney oversee the closing, that added reassurance is worth it. Every transaction is different, and I always recommend the option that best fits my client's needs. One of the things I love about helping people relocate to Jacksonville is explaining all these little differences that make buying a home in Florida unique. Things like title companies instead of attorneys, flood insurance, homestead exemptions, waterfront regulations, and so much more. Those are the kinds of questions that can catch people off guard if they're moving here from another state. If you're planning to move to Jacksonville, download my free Jacksonville relocation guide. I'll link it below. It covers neighborhoods, commute times, schools, and plenty of tips to help make your move easier. And if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment letting me know what state you're moving from. I'm always curious to hear where everyone's relocating from. And as always, I thank you so much for watching.